Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Welcome back. You're watching the Kaiser Report. It is July 1 today. It seems just like yesterday, June 1 was in our broadcast, but here we are. We flew through the month of June. With all that is going on, it's no wonder time seemed to speed along. It was every day a new crisis or a new war or a new bombing of a nuclear site in Iran and so on. You're all aware of that. The big news, of course, today, as it was yesterday, is the Senate going on and on and on, trying to come up with an agreed vote to get this thing back to the House. And Lord only knows what'll happen when it gets back to the House. But we have a couple of Republican holdouts that I'm a little bit surprised on. One maybe I'm very surprised on, and that is Rand Paul. But the other one is Tillis. And he's decided now to back off and not run for re-election again after this stunt that he's out on the news channels again yesterday, proponing that all of the rural hospitals will have to shut down if this bill is passed. I don't know where he gets this from, but it is not true. It's kind of a lie right here. We know that, and he doesn't want to go along with the rest of the thinking people in the Senate and in Congress that know that this bill is needed to stop a massive tax burden that will be placed on you and I if this bill does not get passed, or a version of this bill that actually does something for the middle class and the people in this country that deserve it. Now, you have the likes of Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer out there warning everybody one more time that, it's going to hurt the middle class because it's a tax cut for the rich, and that Bezos and Zuckerman will get new islands and another yacht and so on, as you saw yesterday in the Stupid Town version, which is where it belongs and where both of those people belong. We have a great mayor of Stupid Town there, Mr. Walls, and we'll just add their little congressional people into Stupid Town one more time and see if we can get them on board, because they're certainly holding things up, and he shouldn't be holding it up at all. And we got the likes of AOC, and then the real good news yesterday was that Al Sharpton has come out to back this nutcase, this criminal or communistic mayoral candidate. He's out shaking hands and patting backs with him, and he is going to deliver all of the black vote to get this communist elected as mayor of New York. So you've got all of this to watch. It's almost amusing. It's like a sitcom within itself when you stop and think about it. But let's take a look at Tillis, as he is dead wrong in what he has to say to the media. Let's look right here.
New at 6, Republican Senator Thom Tillis announced his opposition to President Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, saying it would result in funding loss for North Carolina. According to Tillis, he can't support the bill in its current form, as it would result in tens of billions of dollars in lost funding for North Carolina, including in hospitals and rural communities. He says this will force the state to make painful decisions like eliminating Medicaid coverage for hundreds of thousands in expansion population and even reducing critical services. services. Tillis says that while there is a lot for North Carolinians to love about the rest of the One Big Beautiful Bill, including extending the historic Trump tax cuts and providing historic funding for border security, it must be accomplished without hurting rural communities and hospitals.
And you had President Trump absolutely torch him twice last night. There was one very long statement on Truth Social where he said, he's grandstanding, argued that he wasn't really, helping the people of North Carolina. And then a little bit later, President Trump put out another statement.
Numerous people have come forward wanting to run in the primary against Senator Tom Tillis. I will be meeting with them over the coming weeks, looking for someone who will properly represent the great people of North Carolina and, so importantly, the United States of America. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
The next morning.
And we want to get you right to that breaking news here at 6 o'clock. North Carolina's senior U.S. Senator Tom Tillis says he will not seek re-election.
Damn, that was fast.
This just hours after President Trump posted on his social media platform berating the three-term senator who had defied Republican leadership by voting against the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill.
And just moments ago, President Trump weighed in on Tillis, writing on Truth Social, "Great news, Senator Tom Tillis will not be seeking re-election."
Oh, shit!
That's my fight, punk! Oh, you want something too, old man? Huh?
No.
As always, the media is loving this because they can continue to the Trump derangement syndrome messaging that they want to put out to all of their viewers. And scripted by the DNC, no doubt, and we know that as we go along. Well, there's been a lot of progress made in Florida these days. Out in the Everglades, they have put together on an airstrip that was formerly used for things in training by the military and had been abandoned for quite some time. And the only use it was getting anymore was from the cartels getting their drugs landed for distribution secretly in the middle of the Everglades. Well, they have built a detainment center there now where the worst of the illegal immigrants that are being rounded up with criminal history and maybe even murders under their belt, gang members and the like, will be housed at the new Alligator Alcatraz. And the progress is being made. They say that it'll be a scant week before they can start to bring in the new residents of that area, which I find greatly amusing. But you do have some activists that are out there worried about the endangerment to the Everglades. Well, I'd rather see the alligators and snakes be endangered rather than our families being endangered by these people that were let in. And let's never forget who let them all in the first place. And that would be Joe Biden, Alejandro Mayorkas, and our favorite word salad person, Kamala Harris. These are the people that allowed these people to pour into our country in the numbers of 20+ million people that now have to be filtered through and rounded up. And yes, maybe we hit your Home Depot to find one or two, and coming along with them are some people that may not be bad individuals, but that's for the courts to figure out. It is okay to come into this country and apply for asylum if you're being tortured or you're in fear of your life, but you have to do it correctly. You have to go to an embassy, find the paperwork, file the paperwork, and you don't crash into anyone's border of a sovereign country and expect to get away with everything that you decide to do. Whether you're working on a farm or not, if you're illegal, make a contact with someone and exercise your rights to do this legally. The people that are in the streets screaming and hollering about this are idiots who probably do not understand what the law actually requires to be gaining citizenship or entry into this country. Let's take a look at the progress of Alligator Alcatraz right here.
Tonight, legal challenges loom as Florida scrambles to complete the isolated detention center dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. Deep in the Everglades, dump trucks today rolling right past hundreds of protesters condemning the development.
Protesters here draw the line at developing this delicate ecosystem, but no amount of chants or signs or honks is stopping this near constant stream of construction racing to finish this site by next week.
New views from above show the dizzying pace of construction. Trailers and tents intended to hold thousands of migrants as ICE looks for more capacity to support President Trump's deportation goals.
But it is sort of this Alligator Alcatraz, which is that it's surrounded by water. It's this sort of airstrip that's no longer being used anymore. And officials in Florida are saying if the migrants were to escape, it would basically be surrounded by water and that alligators would be what they would be met with.
Hell yes.
And then obviously what they're trying to do here with Alligator Alcatraz is horrendous and just really not acceptable.
This is almost like we're living in a foreign country. They didn't do any environmental impacts. They didn't do anything about the housing, whether it's going to be safe. They're leaving these people out in the middle of hurricane season. This is just absolutely ridiculous.
Dave Shealy's family has lived in the area over 100 years. He runs the Skunk Ape headquarters, the Glades version of Bigfoot.
And you ain't black.
This is a huge black eye to tourism here in South Florida.
Protect the people because, first of all, no human is illegal.
And she lied.
Oh my God.
It's amazing how fast that got put together. But we need detention centers, and we need the big, beautiful bill to get passed so we have the dollars to build the proper facilities to house these people until we find a country of origin or a country willing to take these thugs back into their society, which they are pretty well reticent to do. And I don't really blame these other countries for their reticence in taking in this type of an individual. The regular people that are going to be rounded up at some point or deported at some point will go back to their countries of origin, especially if it's Mexico or Guatemala. I think we have some understanding with these countries now to see our plight and help us with these individuals that need to be relocated. So that brings us to Chucky the Clown Schumer one more time, who has spent 5 minutes on the Senate floor yesterday ranting and raving about lunacy and lies and just out and out lie about the potential of the big, beautiful bill passing and how it's going to affect in his mind, the lower end of the population and benefit the rich. Well, you know, it's really rich coming from a person who has lined their pockets in the seat of a Senate and as the leader of the Senate for so long, along with Pelosi and their stock trades and however they accumulated their wealth. Look at Bernie Sanders, for crying out loud. He's a communist telling you that we have to divide up our money and help the poor while he sits in 3 homes with a lot of money in the bank And Schumer is just the same, as well as Elizabeth Warren. And then you can point a finger at pretty much every senator in that House and the House and figure out, how did they get that money? How did they get that wealthy on the salary that they collect, and then the benefit packages that go along with their tenure in those seats of power? Ask yourself that question when you're going out and figuring out paycheck to paycheck how you will feed your children, pay for their schooling, because the public schools are no longer able in most states, especially the blue states, to educate your children. So you have to pay out of pocket to private schools or parochial schools to get your kids a education so they can read, write, and actually do math, which is, if you talk to most of these last couple of generations, are severely lacking. And the cell phone problems with the texting didn't help, but all the abbreviations and stuff. Spelling is a thing that is just out the window. They don't teach it anymore, I guess. They don't teach proper math anymore. We need to get the educational system back to working in our favor again, so we don't have to rely on people coming in from another country that are smarter than our children so they can do the jobs that require mathematics and actually thinking and spelling to get by. It's incredible. Let's take a look at Chucky right here.
How can any senator go home and tell their constituents, I'm sorry, I took away your health care because I wanted to give tax breaks to billionaires, just to give tax breaks to billionaires? Food from the mouths of hungry children. True costs of these billionaire giveaways, all to help the billionaires.
Don't you fall into the trap. Democrats are full of crap.
Just for tax cuts for billionaires. Takes away food benefits from millions of hungry kids to reward the billionaire class and special interests to pay for tax cuts for billionaires. Hungry kids not getting food. By the way, I didn't hear Donald Trump campaigning on tax breaks for billionaires to bankroll billionaire tax breaks. It is outrageous to take food out of the mouths of hungry children, all to pay for tax breaks for billionaires.
You people sound like a broken record.
He cannot help himself. He has been lying so long to everyone for the longest time that the truth is about as far away from him as China. So we know that, but yet we listen to him every day. And half of the Senate, when he gets up there like a chicken hawk bent over that podium to have the lies pour out, I don't know how many are listening or believing him. It is hard to believe Chuck Schumer and anything he says, and half of what he does. It's crazy. But that's the Democratic Party now. And the new party people, such as AOC, hardly work. They get caught out, having a quick lunch that lasts half a day because they don't go in and sit at their desk and do anything for the constituency that voted them in to do the work, especially right now in New York. But she can sit back on her laurels and have a noodle shop meal while she lets the communist that she thinks is going to be elected as mayor and help her along with her communistic, socialistic views, which will help no one in this country other than the like of her. So look. Isn't that interesting? This is why she doesn't go to work. She hangs out. Well, that'll move us on down the road to the, how long do these lies last that they put out there? How much of society is buying into this? How much of society is living in fear of what can happen because of the rhetoric that is put out by the left-hand side of the aisle and aided and abetted through the propaganda machine of mainstream media, along with a couple of handfuls of people on the right side of the aisle that just hate Donald Trump. And this is the hatred that I'm talking about that will actually end up eroding any good that will happen from the administration that is trying to rectify the damages that have been done from 8 years of Obama onto the 4 years of Biden-Harris. We had a small reprieve there for a while for 4 years of Trump, but then look at what we lived through for those 4 years. Impeachments, one after another, lies and false statements and false dossiers. And the people responsible, we all have now filtered through enough of the lies that come out of media. But we know now that Hillary Clinton was behind this. We know now that a lot of the leftists that were behind this, nothing has been done to make these people come forward, not only and pay for their mistakes and their crimes. Look at Adam Schiff. He gets a promotion to the Senate from the Congress after lying and lying and lying about the impeachment process that he was involved in along with Hillary and Nancy Pelosi. None of these people pay for their grievances. None of these people pay for their indiscretions. And none of these people are made to pay for any of the insider trading or other areas that they received money, whether it's circled back from the Ukraine, we don't know, but somebody in these Senate hearings know the truth. Somebody in these Senate hearings know the truth about the fact that we had a president that was in name only, that they stuffed on a beach chair somewhere while someone operated an auto pen to not only free hardened criminals back into the street, but pardon an entire family that was complicit in money laundering through the Ukraine, through Russia, and now we find out through hearings that China gave a lot of money to Hunter Biden that was circled back for 10% for the big guy. No one paid for this. No consequences to any of these people. We can have Senate hearing after Senate hearing and bring the people in that may or may not been operating the auto pen under the guise of maybe Jill Biden or Hunter Biden. How many pardons did Hunter Biden have signed with these things? How they get away with whatever they want to because there are no consequences. It's the same thing now with our Justice Department. There are people in the streets doing bad things. There are people being shot because they sit on a town council, or there are people being shot at, or a president running for president that has been shot. And we have no answers to these things. There are no consequences for anyone involved if they know who these people are. There are no consequences for the criminals in the street that are forgiven bail in New York City and put right back into the street to do more harm or to steal more or to steal your car. There's no consequences Half of these illegals that are arrested and then freed out with no bail or very slim bail can hop a plane or a train and get out of town and get out of Dodge and then go reinvent themselves in another city because no one's watching. But God forbid that ICE comes up behind them and tries to find out who they are. And if they are illegal, they will be rounded up and they will be vetted for the first time in most cases. Why people want to demonstrate and scream against this is beyond my understanding. It makes no sense at all. But anyway, the Democratic congresswoman that tried to bust in and assaulted an ICE officer in New Jersey there, the mayor got dismissed. No challenge, no consequence. But she is being held as on assault on a federal charge, and we'll see where that goes. But I have very, very little doubt that she will pay for her mistakes in any way, shape, or form. It's just not in the cards because they don't pay. And this is what's wrong with our justice system right now, that I think this administration has gotten the people in there now that can fix these things if they're allowed to. But why we're being kept in the dark about certain things, like why was that shooter on the roof pulled off by the FBI and cremated so fast when there were accusations that it wasn't really him, that it was this guy from Arizona that brought the van with the explosives out there? We hear nothing more about these things. We hear more about that nonsense that's going on in New York with P. Diddy than we hear about any truths coming out about what we know is suspicious. Let's hear some more. We have, this Great Patel and Dan Bongino that are supposed to be doing the cleanup and finding out why these things happen. And it's we get crickets from that. And we don't need any more crickets. We get enough crickets right out of our news media. So there it is. But anyway, enough of that. We'll take a little walk into Stupid Town here and see what's going on there. We have no shortage of stupidity really right now in this country, most of it driven by the leftists, the far left, that are being pushed and rallied into thinking that the new Democratic Party will be the new Democratic Socialist Party, based on the fact of their newly appointed leaders such as Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Bernie Sanders, and now they're trying to elevate this idiot that wants to run for mayor of New York with ideas that if he was elected would be impossible for him to implement in the first place. But no one's talking about that. But Al Sharpton is going to deliver him the black vote. And he's out patting his back, and you want to talk about somebody that is up another person's, you know what I mean. There it is, Al Sharpton. This guy should be hanging his head in shame for his past, but yet he's elevated. And who is he elevated by? Morning Joe, who keeps putting him on there. And by the way, he and Mika, they just belong in that communistic socialist party that they love so much. So let's take a walk to Stupid Town. Exit right here.
And I think Tim Walz is a younger, in that sense, a younger version of Joe Biden.
Tweedledee and Tweedledumbass.
Just practical things to determine what are the things that both allow neighborhoods to stay united.
And some of the things that I remember most about those memories.
To the ACA, to access to education.
Access to education.
Have access to roads and bridges.
Trump's plan would cause a recession, would significantly increase inflation.
For the first time, we're actually seeing some significant reductions.
Well, guess what? Past administration, including my president, failed to buy America.
So my words on this are going to be simple to the Trump administration. We'll see you in court.
To lower inflation, cut the deficit, reduce health care costs.
What's going to happen if I lose my health care?
What in the butt?
Let's win back the Minnesota State Senate.
These folks who want to tell us the red state, blue state.
The red state, blue state.
And how we can finish the job and make things even better.
Let's go win this thing.
Let's go win this thing.
Trump and his MAGA Republican friends want to cut the Affordable Care Act out completely. And how many times?
These are the people who are spending all their time.
Now, I'll tell you something. Kamala and I are damn proud that we protected the pensions.
Today they had a damn vote to protect IVF.
You are both in.
If a state isn't allowed to obtain a nationwide injunction, then what the Supreme Court has said is every individual plaintiff, they can only get relief themselves individually and their children. So that means an individual, a U.S. citizen baby whose parents haven't obtained a lawyer, that the executive branch could deny them citizenship simply because they were not able to file a case to challenge the order as to them. That is, I think, an appalling result given how difficult and expensive it is to obtain lawyers. And again, we're talking about a very vulnerable population here. Individuals whose parents might be undocumented, who might be here without legal status, and you are requiring all of them to obtain lawyers to ensure their children are able to have their constitutional right of birthright citizenship.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
It's clear that the nuclear program was not obliterated, as Trump and many of his lackeys said it over and over again. Yes. Netanyahu's objectives are not done here, accomplished. Do you think this is over?
So look, my real concern is that Netanyahu is really the one calling the shots. This isn't Donald Trump. You can't bomb away the desire to get one. You can't bomb away the scientific know-how. The only way that we are going to have for keeping Iran from getting a nuclear weapon over a long arc is to negotiate. But Benjamin Netanyahu has never wanted to negotiate. His plan, start to finish, is military. And he managed to maneuver things. Trump sees him on TV and sees that it looks like it's working. And the next thing we know, Donald Trump is sending bombs.
Pocahontas, she has been a real disaster for a lot of people, including the Democrats, who frankly can't stand her. She said she was Native American, but she wasn't able to document it. She said, well, I have high cheekbones. I don't know if you'd call it a fraud or not, but she was able to get into various schools because of the fact she applied as a Native American. I think she's as Native American as I am, okay? But she's a woman that's been very ineffective, other than she's got a big mouth. Look.
Well, it's been one hell of a ride in the month of June. We've seen a lot. We've seen things that we never thought we would see. And July holds a lot in store. We have July 4th coming up. And it is the celebration, a 250th celebration of the forming of this republic and the signing of our Constitution, which we want to go back to living by, rather than the newisms that are being brought our way by people who have a problem with correct thinking. The incorrect thinking is what got us through, or helped get us through, the Biden-Harris administration, because we knew someone was going to come along that has correct thinking and will put us right back on the track, not only to God and not closer to heaven, but more realistic for the people that we are, that make up this great country, that work hard, and pay our taxes and go to church. And we need to get back to that. We took a little left-hand turn somewhere and got away from giving all adoration and thanks and glory to Jesus Christ and God the Father. And let the Holy Spirit come back on to us one more time and educate us in how to vote correctly and how to make life better for not only ourselves, but our neighbors. And keep in mind to always thank God for the country you live in and the freedoms that you have, and never let anyone take those freedoms from you ever again, like the Democratic Party tried to do with 8 years of Obama and 4 years of Harris-Biden. And with that, I'm going to say, stay safe, stay strong, and stay tuned to the Kaiser Report for more information and a laugh at Stupid Town. So until tomorrow, bye-bye now. God bless you all.